Hi, I'm Debbie Dane, Executive Director here at WillieNet, and today joining me is Judy Grinnell, President of the Hoosick River Revival. The mission of this organization is making the Hoosick River a treasured community asset in North Adams. Welcome, Judy.
Thank you. I'm delighted to be here.
Now, you've been involved with this organization at least since 2008.
That's it.
And the river is not just the section. Tell us a little bit about the Hoosick River, because it's not just in North Adams.
It's not just in North Adams. The river is actually about 70 miles long. The headwaters are in Cheshire, Mass. So it flows rather flat, slowly from Cheshire into Adams, North Adams, through Williamstown, and then into southern Vermont, southwestern Vermont. It flows north, by the way, like the Nile. Yeah. We're in good company. And from southern Vermont, flows into New York State, and then flows into the Hudson near Schaghticoke. And our focus, however, and I should say, the Hoosick River Watershed Association, which is a partner of ours, has been working on making the Hoosick River an asset, the whole Hoosick River an asset, for over 25 years. So we're in good company working with them. Our focus is on about 2.5 miles of the river that has been channelized. And we'll show pictures in just a few minutes, but the river in North Adams is not an asset. It's really an eyesore. However, there's a reason for those flood chutes. In the 20s, 30s, and 40s, downtown North Adams was devastated by the part of the river, and it's a branch that flows from the north, comes in from southern Vermont, and flows through Clarksburg, and then by the Eclipse Mill into downtown North Adams. And that's the fast-flowing part of the river. And so we need to have some flood protection, and our goal is to maintain that. However, the Corps of Engineers had as their focus, protect North Adams. It was not to protect North Adams and create an asset for North Adams. So it's 60 years later. The chutes were built in the 50s, and our goal is to take advantage of what we now know about flood protection and revitalizing rivers. We can do both. They didn't know, or they didn't care about it then. The other thing that's happened since the 50s is we have a cleaner river. In the 50s and the 60s, this river was really a dumping ground. We had a lot of mills functioning from the 20s and 30s and 40s, and nobody really cared about the river because it didn't smell good, it didn't look good, it was different colors. So there was no interest in it. Now that the river's cleaned up, there's a reason for us to be doing this. So let's quickly just do a few pictures of what the chutes look like, because many people don't really know, because it's hidden. It
is hidden, you're right. It's not seen as a river, as a natural resource, right?
Not at all, because it's not natural, and it's not a resource right now.
We have a few slides. This first one is up by the Eclipse Mill, and you can see the walkway goes over it, but there's no access to it. There's a railroad track right along it.
And it's illegal to go into the chutes. So even if the water were higher and looked inviting, it's illegal. You're not supposed to be in them. And normally the water does not flow like this.
That's pretty full. Yeah, it's usually
that's probably about a foot deep.
Yes.
The chutes, by the way, are 45 feet wide. We can look at the pictures. And this is a much more typical picture of what the chutes look like, in that they're hardly filled, and they are sloped by design to flow very fast. And so here is also, we're on the other side of Massamoka. This is by the porches. This area has some potential. You can see this beautiful greenway, and we'll talk about that later.
And on the other side of the fence is the chute.
That's right, exactly. And here we are in downtown North Adams, if you will, where we have this confluence of housing, driveway, train, flood chute.
The new bridge going over, but
that's right.
And there's greenery, but you can't access it.
No. And here it is again. So and here we are, we're near Knoll Field, for those of you who know this area. So the reason we started this organization is that I basically said to a group of people, do you want to learn with me whether North Adams can look like San Antonio, like Providence, Rhode Island, like Denver, Colorado? These are all what I call river cities.
Yes.
And the group said yes.
Yes.
And that was in 2008. So just a quick history, we formed a steering committee, we raised some money, we hired consultants, and our reason for hiring the consultants was twofold. Tell us about this river, the condition of the chutes, which is pretty good, but they are 60 years old, and tell us about other cities and what they've done and what they look like. Then we had a meeting in 2010. About 100 people came, stayed for 6 hours.
Oh my goodness.
It was really, it was a sunny Saturday in June, so it was really an indication that the people in North Adams and the area, because it wasn't just North Adams people there, are interested in finding out more about the river. The net result of that meeting, the message we got from these people after they had a chance to hear from the consultants and then talk in small groups, was we don't like the way the chutes look. We want flood protection. Please find out if North Adams can look like some of these other cities. So from 2010 until now, we have been raising money again because in order to find out about North Adams' possibility as a river city, none of us is a professional.
No.
And I'm certainly not. I'm not an engineer, etc. So we've been raising money and been successful in doing that. But we didn't want people to forget about us while we were raising this money. So several things happened. We created a website. We created a walking brochure, so that it's a historical walking brochure, just to bring people to the river, because we've got wonderful, interesting history. We worked with several other organizations like the Northern Berkshire Community Coalition, and we have now 2 community gardens along the river. One across from the porches, raised beds, and the other one on Sperry Avenue. And this has been great. We even had a pizza party because, in addition to the garden, working with Mass Mocha, we now have a community oven.
Well, and this is part, I just wanted to insert this because as the need and the chutes have changed, so has North Adams. Mass Mocha is firmly established as a place. There's the porches. The community itself has changed from when those chutes were put in, as you've talked about. The river's cleaned up. Talk about a little bit about the neighborhoods that the river goes to.
Okay, so we'll do first. So this is the river that we're concerned about. So coming in from the south by Knoll Field, going in back of City Hall, and then through the middle of Mass Mocha, interestingly. And this is the North Branch up by Beaver Street and the Beaver Mill. And the chutes start right here at the Eclipse Mill, and they continue down Union Street through Willow Dell, which is a very interesting place, but a lot of potential here. Canal Street, and then follows River Street, where they merge just at the exit of Mocha, and then continues down for probably another quarter of a mile. There are chutes a little bit farther down, but basically the chutes that you see here on the picture are what we are focusing on. So the one of the members of our committee is Howard Itzkowitz, who's a trained architect with a wonderful eye for the city. And after we had that community conversation, we realized 100 people is not all of North Adams, so we needed to spread the word. And we had 7 posters like this made. This summarizes what the people at the meeting said. Basically, there's no recreation, there's no access, it costs a lot of money to fix it, to maintain it, but how about changing it? And these are the things that they wanted us to do. And so we have that summary, and then a picture of how the river flows and what the difference different topography is. So zone 1 is this flat, slow flowing river by Noel Field. And then there's this very congested area that you showed near Heritage Park, behind City Hall, and then flowing right in the middle of Masmoka as we've talked about it. Then after you leave Masmoka, let's start at the top here, even though it's number 5.
Yes.
And so here is really, and this is all the area where our mills were. And there's a beaver mill up here, the Eclipse Mill, several dams up here, Willow Dell, which really, really suffered a lot when it was flooded. This is a very low area. And then this following the river. So kind of steep here, low here, very residential over here, and some businesses here. So it's an interesting and challenging project because it's not, you know, so if we look here, whatever we decide or think about doing here will not work up here.
Exactly.
So this is why we need professionals to be looking at it.
And conversely, opportunity and variety.
Exactly, exactly. So we'll talk more about that in just a minute, but wanted to bring you up to speed on where we are now. So this is now. This is a model for us. This is Fitchburg, Massachusetts. Fitchburg also has flood chutes. Theirs are a little bit different from ours in that, and you can see, you see the rocks here?
Yes.
We have no rocks. And that's because the soil in Fitchburg is different from ours. So when the Corps of Engineers built their flood chutes, all they had to do was walls. They didn't have to do the bottom. But what's interesting about Fitchburg is, this is a before picture. Now, this wall has come down. They built this park with a dream of having that wall come down and having people have access, and they do. Now, the Corps of Engineers approved a plan whereby the wall came down. Should they ever have an Irene, like we did, the water can flow up here. This is a park. It's okay if it gets wet. And then at the far end here, they have a berm, which replaces this wall and actually looks more attractive. So we turn to Fitchburg a lot as we're thinking about what we might do. Down here in the corner is a drawing of what's going on in Los Angeles. Los Angeles River is 25 miles long. It's practically all in flood chutes, but they are, I would say, 4 years ahead of us. And these are some of the drawings that they have. And our engineers say it's possible in some parts of our city where we have some land where we can expand to have step down like that. What will happen when you do that kind of modification of the chutes? You have to have space because you must, and our commitment is to maintain flood protection, you must have the same capacity. So right now we've got capacity 45 by 15, let's say. So we would still have that same amount, for just let's call it 10, so 450 feet of protection. This way, we would narrow the bottom, but we would expand the side. So we would still have protection. And again, just like they have here, it's called concrete hardscaping. And it's okay. If Irene comes, so it goes up on the concrete. 99% of the time, we'll be able to have access. Whereas now, it's designed for that 1% Irene.
Switch the percentages, exactly.
And it's important. I want to reiterate, flood protection is first. And then the design will never do anything except protect the city, but also give us access. So we've raised the money. We now have architects, city planners, engineers coming to us with possible designs for North Adams.
Along all of those zones?
All of those zones.
All right. And then talk about, I know Williamstown has one, and I'm sure that North Adams has one, a master plan. Because you must be like puzzle pieces trying to fit together the different pieces and goals for the city as a whole.
Okay, I'm glad you brought that up. At the same time as we started hiring our engineers to come up with designs, the city of North Adams, after 40 years, began to work with the Berkshire Regional Planning Commission on a master plan for the city. We are now, we're about a year and a half into our work, and they are also. So there's about a year and a half more. Whatever work we do will complement the priorities that surface from that master plan. I am a representative of the river on the city's steering committee that is working closely with Berkshire Regional Planning. The other organization that surfaced, it's very exciting, everything that's bubbling up in North Adams. The other organization is called the Partnership for North Adams. This was started by the boards of directors of MCLA and MOCA. And they're interested in economic development. We are also, but we want to do it by revitalizing the river. They are looking at several other aspects of the city. For example, they're focusing, we need that map again. So they're focusing on Heritage Park. They want to revitalize Heritage Park. They would like to have the some of the housing along River Street be revitalized. They're interested in downtown right here, seeing what we can do. We have a lot of parking and we have not many really active stores. We have what they consider to be too much parking and too little retail. And what's interesting is a lot of what they're doing is, they also want to improve the entrance to North Adams, what it looks like coming into the city, right here and up by the Eclipse Mill, which is the Mohawk Trail. And so we're working also with them. It's very important that we not compete, and we're not competing. In fact, we will be meeting soon with the planners that the partnership have hired to help them move their project along. And we see that we're a little bit ahead of them, and we hope that the work that has been done will serve as a catalyst for them, because so much of it is actually right along the river.
And then one other group that I'm sure we're all thinking about is the bike path people.
Yes, good point.
Because that brings Adams, North Adams, Williamstown. Are they part of this coalition?
They are. We have on our board is Lauren Stevens, who's very active with the bike group. And until she was elected to the state legislature, Gail Caridi was on our board. So we have bike path voices working with us as well. Interestingly, we did not do this on purpose, but the engineering planning firm we hired, which is Malone and McBroom out of Connecticut, they happen to be the firm that Berkshire Regional Planning chose to work with them on the bike path.
Very exciting.
It is.
Yeah,
it is.
Because then both hands are knowing the same things.
Exactly, exactly. And the reality is the low parts and flat parts of any city are where the river is. So the bike path is going to be following the river. In North Adams, it hasn't been decided exactly, but we're also working with them. So this is both, good news and bad news. Good news in the sense that we're working together. Bad news in that we can't just charge ahead and do what we want. But that's okay. We'll end up with a better product.
Now talk about, because it seems like there's challenges and opportunities. Opportunities maybe in funding from the state or something, if you come together with all these different pieces so thoughtfully. Talk a little bit about how it can help maybe with and the funding challenge, because it immediately turns into a challenge.
Sure. Well, funding is a challenge. We have been fortunate so far to receive funding for our work from private individuals, from businesses in North Adams, and from the state government. The Division of Ecological Restoration, DER, has chosen us as a priority project. This happened in 2009, I believe. And as a result, we have received, in the course of the last 4 years, we have received over $20,000 from them. They are committed to this project. So much so, in addition to money, one of the members of our steering committee from the very beginning has been Cindy Del Papa, who is an employee of the Department of Fish and Game, which is within DER. She's basically my right-hand woman. She is a river ecologist. She has been working, whoops, that's not up anymore, but the Fitchburg Project. So for us, those have been the sources of funding. We have also received grants from the Hardman Foundation, from the Takana Community Foundation, from Berkshire Environmental Education grant for little things which we'll talk about some other time. As far as working together, we're not at the point yet, but one of the things that we have talked about with the partnership and with the city is applying to the federal government for smart growth money. Smart growth is a concept being promoted by President Obama, and what he wants to happen is that the Department of Transportation, the EPA, Environmental Protection Association, and HUD, Housing and Urban Development, that the right hand and left hand know what's going on. And this is a perfect example right here of what we're talking about.
If you can bring up the slide, Brad, that's on our PowerPoint. It is Heritage Park, right? And the river's coming over. There's the Sons of Italy Hall, and the ball field's back behind. Exactly.
And there's housing on both sides, and train tracks.
Yeah.
So we've applied for a grant. We alone did with the city in early stages. But now that we have really the Berkshire Regional Planning Commission working with the city on their comprehensive plan, the partnership now really up and running, I think we are will be seen as a stronger entity than we were before. So that's a real possibility for funding for all of us.
Yes, no, it sounds almost custom made to his concept.
Yes, exactly. And we have said, look, this is not Los Angeles. This is North Adams. Just think we could be a microcosm, because we're a small project compared to what the federal government often does. So anyway, we'll see. We'll see.
So what's the future short-term and long-term looking for you?
So what we're doing now is we're doing things like this, showing people what some of the concepts are. So this is Knoll Field. This is the baseball diamond. And one idea they have is to keep this channel that we now have here, but divert the water and create a lovely picnic, fishing area where we have natural floodplain right here. Again, we would do something very much like Fitchburg. There would be a protection here for these businesses along Route 8. Should Irene come again, this would be changed. The opening to allow this water to come in would be shut, and then the water would be sent down the traditional flood canal. Now, then we have, so this is, we're working our way into that morass of
Yes.
everything. What they are suggesting is that we could highlight some of the area here to get people to go into Heritage Park.
Right.
Modify a little bit the area around City Hall so that we can have more greenery and less parking. And the most interesting thing is right here. Mm-hmm. This building has been sold. It's not, its ownership is in flux right now. Mm-hmm. But we are hoping that it becomes part of the partnership and the River Revival working together. These are those steps like we saw in Los Angeles.
Yes.
Our consultants considered taking down that building. We think that it'd be good to keep most of that building because there's enough space here so that we could have retail establishments facing Marshall Street, mm-hmm. and we could also have steps down to the river. And what I'd like to show you here is what the river might look like, what the flood chute might look like. Here, it would be narrowed at the bottom so that, because there is space in some parts of it, and again, this is just initial drawings, okay, where we could narrow the bottom so it would be more attractive. The engineers think of rocks being fixed permanently to the bottom. So it would look attractive. It would not look the way it does now. And there is natural, up here on this side, there's a natural hill there.
You don't even notice it.
No. So we could, again, this would be a natural barrier for flooding. So we might keep wall here, but have natural barrier on this side. So that's one idea. You know, there's much more to talk about, but we can...
Well, it helps expand the imagination, too.
Exactly, exactly. So here we are up at the North Branch. And again, they are thinking of a diversion. It's called a diversion stream. So here's the dam, and they would like to have a pipe going under Route 2 and have the water come through here. We currently have a big building here. This is long term,
Yes.
and this is not decided either.
Yes.
It's just an idea. So right now we have a big building here. So when you enter the North Adams, it's sort of like going through a tunnel with both those buildings there. So their idea is maybe we don't need that building as much, and we could, again, create more ecologically interesting area with a pond here and actually have water flowing free all the way down into Willowdell. And what we have at Willowdell, again, North Adams is very hilly. Behind Willowdell, we are up at East Main Street where the library is. You notice if you climb up by the library, you're climbing a hill. You are right behind Willowdell. So again, natural barrier for the water. We have a building in here. They've got a pond here. I think they've got this switched, but anyway, the old Barber Leather building is there. Don't know its condition. Great chimney there.
Yes, I know. Just,
And so it might be that can be the tourist bureau. That part of that building could be the tourist bureau. There are small establishments right here and a couple houses. Again, these are ideas.
Yes.
And the other idea they have for here is this. Does this show? Yes. Okay. I don't know if the camera can come in close on this. Instead of doing this diversion stream, one of the thoughts they had is keep the chute the way it is, but create a platform at the top of it, down about a foot or so, or 2 feet, and make it look attractive. Put soil there,
Yes.
have a small stream that flows along the top
Oh, interesting.
of it so it's more attractive.
Yep.
And again, Irene comes, something gets shut, and the water goes down into the flood chute again. So another idea, and we're talking, hiking trails, because we've got, the wonderful
Yes.
former quarry. It's a park.
Right, with the
Natural Bridge.
Natural
Park.
Bridge, right, which
So,
everyone goes to.
what we're trying to do is to connect downtown with all the way up to that park. Let's see. That's Marshall and Maine. And this one. We do have others, but that's basically what we're doing right now.
Now, Judy, how you have been with this for several years now. It's and moving it forward, moving it forward, moving it forward. General timeline, is this a decade away?
Okay. Next year, this year, we're already
2013.
we're there.
Here. Yes.
We will be continuing to do our community outreach like this. We will have another community meeting like we did in 2010 with the consultants, with drawings, only now there'll be North Adams drawings, get feedback from the community, and then our board of directors will decide whether to do a pilot project and maybe a master plan, because by then the city will have progressed, the partnership will have progressed, so it may be that together we do a plan for the city that includes some of the ideas that we have here, some of the ideas the partnership has, and the city. But likely we will choose a pilot project and start raising money for that, which will cost us, we're told, we don't know which one it'll be or if it'll be any of these. It may be that the community will have ideas that are better, different from this. Probably $250,000. I am told now that we have drawings, it'll be so much easier to raise money.
Yes, I think that's true. You can visualize. You can. It's in 3 dimensions, and you can get excited about actually bringing children down there. What a Saturday might be. What it might be to come bring visitors into the city.
Exactly. Exactly. So, 2013 is going to be an exciting year.
Now, tell us before we wrap up, just so people, if they want to participate or make contributions or give ideas, who is your board?
Okay. All right. Well, first of all, we have a website.
Okay,
so I'd
right.
like people
We'll put that on. Yes.
Yeah, HoosickRiverRevival.org.
Okay.
On there, you can contact us. There's a way to send an email to us. You can also just send an email without going to the website, and it's HoosickRiverRevival@gmail.com. We are now a nonprofit organization. We've been working with Hoosick River watershed, but while we had worked together very well. This is a friendly separation, if you will.
Yes.
But we feel that our focus is a little bit different from the river, the watershed. So we are a nonprofit, so people could send a donation to Hoosick River Revival, P.O. Box 434 in North Adams. Or I think I'm the only Grinnell in the phone book, so you could just call me if you have any questions. We do have a board. We also have an advisory board for people who don't want to commit the way you have to if you're a board member. And we have projects from time to time that are one-time things that might take an hour or 2 hours or a weekend. So if anybody is interested in any way, I'd love to have them just get in touch with me. And I think Williamstown folks, since this is WillieNet, probably would be interested in knowing one of the advantages if we modify the design of the chutes is that the water is not going to come shooting into Williamstown the way it does. That was purposely designed by the Corps to get the water through North Adams as fast as possible. We all know from Irene the damage that was done in Williamstown. And while some of that water came down off the mountain, some of the water came in from the flood chutes. So there are advantages in, for both communities. So some of the people from Williamstown that are on the board are Harold Brotzman, Jacqueline Galusha, Tom Jorling, and Lauren Stevens, as I mentioned. And I think the rest are from North Adams: Lisa Bassi, Nancy Bullitt, John DeRosa, Steve Green, Brian Mixick, Jim Stakanis from MCLA, Elena Traster, who is a Williams graduate, but she's a professor at MCLA in the Environmental Studies Department. And Dave Willett, who's well known as an outdoor person. So I would love to have anybody help in any way that they would like to. This will be wonderful for North Adams. It will be wonderful for our whole community.
Yes.
To have two cities that have two rivers, the same river. You know, you have a wonderful river here in Williamstown, and I'm not sure it's used as much as it could be.
Yes, no, exactly. I know that Sarah Madden still, well, she used to do the second grade at Williamstown Elementary. Every week would go down to the river. And I know my children who are now in their 20s still go to the river and use it because of the instruction. So I'm sure there'll be a component involved with the schools once this is...
We're working very closely with Drury High School. They made those benches, the raised beds. And they also did a great video of the tour of the river with us to show.
Yes, I think we had that on WillieNet.
Yes, probably. Yeah. So, yes, this is it has so much potential that we don't even know yet.
Well, thank you for joining us today. And the community conversation spring, probably?
Yes, this spring, and there will be notice, and we'll be back.
And we'll have you back.
Yes.
Thank you. You've been watching Judy Grinnell talk about the Hoosick River Revival that's going on in North Adams. I'm Debbie Dane, Executive Director here at WillieNet. Thank you for watching.